Hi. Okay. So today is February 4th, and the last time I posted was January 23rd. So today's Tuesday. So on Thursday, would have been 2 weeks. So I've kind of been slacking. But it's because there has been so much that has gone on in these past 2 weeks. So this video is going to be a little bit of that, a 2 week recap, and then also I'm doing this little homework tour. So in all of it, I'm just going to be explaining kind of how I do homework, how things kind of work for me, how I schedule things, how I organize things. I kind of have talked a little bit about this, but this is specifically the assignments that I'm doing. So I have coaching, I have my seminar class, and then I have how I study Spanish. And so those are all the things that I'll be talking about today. So in this first clip, this is again my calendar. You can totally see all of my events and stuff. But then this is my drive. I use my drive all of the time. It saves my life. This is my assignment tracker. This is how I organize these things. So in this, study session, I kind of showed what I was already having planned for that day. I have these essays, contract, case analysis, all that stuff that I had to have turned in. And right here, I just move into studying Spanish. That's the first thing I had done in this day. Studying Canopy, which is a website that I was given by OU. It's awesome. I really do like it. Like, me who has struggled for so long, having to learn Spanish, I know that it's not perfect, and I know that it doesn't always help with the best way, but or make the best translation is what I'm trying to say, but it gets me studying, dang it. That's all that matters. So yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. I will open it up and it will have these, lessons. Each thing is separated by 3 levels. So it's separated into 3 levels, and then each one has its own lesson and its own category. Here I am putting on music. But yeah, and so these are some past notes that I have for it, and this is basically how I'll set up one of these lessons to do. So after the introduction, it will bring up this this role play that I have to hear out, which is really helpful, getting to hear the audio. I'll open up the translations and make sure that I'm understanding it correctly and things like that. Sometimes I'm making connections with certain words that I didn't know before. And yeah, that's kind of, and this is how it's set up. It'll have its introduction to whatever it's doing. It'll have some role play stuff, and then it'll, continue on with some more of it. But yeah, that's this section. And then once I'm ready to move on, then it gets more into vocabulary and stuff like that. So this is how I'll set up the vocab that I'm learning in a certain section. And then once I run through this I'll put the words where I, think that they go, and then there's a little check mark at the top that will basically tell me if I got it right or wrong. And yeah, that's how I study on Canopy. And I'll go ahead and say this here. I have really, really been struggling these past 2 weeks in studying Spanish. This particular day is on a Thursday, and I mean, in the weeks preparing for practicum, because I had pretty much the past week and this week, where I was just having to fill my time with those homework blocks and having to fill my time studying Spanish. And I don't know, I guess I think everybody has this learning curve, obviously, but yes, it's study show, whatever, but you're going up and up and up because you're doing so well and you're learning. And I think I've hit that point where, because of everything that I've learned, it's all mushed together in my brain. And sometimes and you'll see me misspelling words. You'll see me basically getting really simple words wrong. And I try to be kind to myself. I try to like, be patient with myself. I really, really am. But sometimes I just need to vent, and that it's freaking hard. And I had this conversation with my bestie the other day too, that I sometimes feel like I can't complain because I know how difficult it was for my family and a lot of my friends to, know their native language and then have to learn English. And I feel like that setting is really, really difficult. And I'm not trying to like compare my struggles to it and devalue all of that, but that this is just my experience. Dang it. I I really do like try to consider sometimes that like yes, like I'm struggling, and yes, this is hard, and this is my experience, and we all have our own journey and things like that. That's what Hema told me too. But yeah, so and I have such a good support system, and I've had people talk to me, and they're helping me, and they're there for me. um and so yeah, I'm doing what I can, and I'm also still just struggling. And in all of this, I had my Thursday homework sessions, my I think the day before Wednesday and Tuesday, all just working on, if it's not the case analysis, then it was my essay, and if it wasn't my essay, then it was this. And what makes that so difficult is that when I'm focusing on one thing, then I can't focus enough on practicing Spanish. And then even because I have these assignments and things, I can't necessarily go out and enjoy, learning the language among, like, in social settings among native speakers. So yeah, I think that's what's really made it super difficult for me. But I'm doing the best that I can. And that's all that matters. And this section is actually kind of interesting because it is where I essentially have to press play and hear the audio, and then I have to write it all out, which I think has probably been like the most helpful thing. It helps me separate the words. It makes me know how to spell, all of those things. Sometimes I'll skip the accent marks and things like that and go back and check them and put them in the right places. But I really, really like this practice right here. It also, helps me pick up on other words that I might not have known before. But yeah, and then once I get through that, then I just will check the answers and make sure it's all good. And then that's essentially a lesson. There's a little bit more to it, but that's kind of all I cared to show for Canopy. This here is now my case analysis. And in this day that I worked on it, I had already worked on it prior. And so I had worked up a problem statement. I had to work up a contextual analysis. And in that, I had basically, read the article, and then I took notes and separated things into macro and meso and micro problems. And then what was so, I really, really like this case analysis. It was really cool to do, and it's really, like, I do enjoy writing case analysis. I enjoyed that a lot in my undergrad in psych, and now getting to do that in a social work setting, it's very cool. It's especially in my concurrent year, my final semester, like, it's really, really fun. But it was frustrating. It was so frustrating because you had to be so technical about things. Just particular about the way that you said things. And our professor, well, she gave us this PowerPoint, and I really ran through it. I'm going to let you know what I got on this assignment because I really feel like I put my heart and soul into making it, as requested and things like that. So I tried to meet the requirements as best as I could. And honestly, whenever we went to class, I did really feel like I was not too far off from what, she was asking of us, like what we were supposed to be getting at. But yeah, a little bit about the case analysis. It was essentially these the practicum students at a nonprofit, like a separate branch of a nonprofit, and they were asked to perform this mindfulness intervention. And I think essentially the point was the barriers that we have to, get through, or even just like the things that we have to consider when making decisions. And that was, everything that our supervisors ask of us. It's what we, even what our organizations ask of us. And all, at the same time trying to stay true to our own values and to our values as social workers, our ethics and things like that. And my professor pointed it out, or my supervisor pointed it out, that we are, trying to be more intentional about just human rights. Like, that is essentially what our ethics believe in. It's, yes, we have these systems, and yes, we have these barriers that we need to consider, but at the end of the day, we are working with people who have real concerns. And so in this case analysis, it was the practicum social workers were asked to go into do this mindfulness practice with school, with the school children. And, in a setting that just wasn't really supportive of it, that wasn't really like set up for it. They didn't have any education prior to how it would be run, like how systems would be, or how mindfulness practices would be run and things like that, like what something like that would look like. And then I think our social workers in this also did not have a full, well, like oiled understanding of what they were also being asked to do. And that happens in social work. Like, we do get requests, and we are even wondering, well, how do you expect us to make this happen whenever the organization or whoever it is asking for the intervention? How do you want us to do this? How does your system work? What is the issues in your system that you are trying to have us help you get through? And so, yeah, there's a lot of that. But yeah, so I worked so hard on this, and I really hope that it comes out well. And if you're seeing anything that looks ridiculous, this is a rough draft. Don't pay attention. And if you are, how dare you? And I'm also sorry that I don't explain things well. I am just a girl. It's not supposed to be analytical. This is supposed to be just fun for me, a rundown of things that I do. But so then now I move into more of a, at first I had read the article, and I had done some research and background into the school systems, and particularly in this location and things like that. And then you have to also pull in other, like peer-reviewed articles and things like that, like evidence-based practices and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing here. I'll also say I love my MacBook so much, and I honestly love that. That's kind of how I've been able to do these YouTube videos, and I'm able to screen record, and I'm able to do this particular thing right here. But there are so many times that I mess up because I don't know how to work my MacBook yet, and there are things that pop up and in and out, and it's frustrating sometimes. And especially Finder, I'm like, I don't know how to navigate Finder yet. I'm figuring it out, and I'm figuring it out in even editing these videos and stuff. But yeah, so this is how I kind of do research and set articles aside and prepare them for the essay. Yeah. And now I just want to quickly get into how I use AI, specifically ChatGPT and Grammarly, because I think AIs are tools, and they're here now, and that they can be helpful, but I have seen them just not work in the past. And Owen and I had this conversation that, you can really tell whenever a student is totally just putting in the prompt and having it write it for them and then trying to rework it. And I don't necessarily think that that's the best practice. There was a quote that was kind of circling around Instagram for a bit. Let me see. Her name was Joanna Mackey-Jawinski. I don't know if I said that right. If I didn't, don't correct me. But she said, I want AI to do my dishes. Oh, I want my AI to do my laundry and dishes so that I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so that I can do my laundry and dishes. And I totally agree with that. I think that AI can be a really good tool. And even here, like, I'm using Grammarly, like, we've been using these things and they are helpful, but they should just not be a crutch. And so what I do is I sometimes have to ask how to write things, like how to say certain things, because my verbiage or how I would typically say something isn't going to work out in a in a professional paper. So yeah, and so anyways, that's kind of how I did that. That's my little rant about AI. And then, I used this rubric as requested. So I really hope that I get a good grade on this. I'm gonna let you know because I worked so hard in trying to meet the requirements. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And then we get into what I do for coaching. I won't spend too much time on my actual coaching stuff, but essentially what it is I, am assigned to a student and she is my coachee. And then I also have a coach for myself. And in that situation, she's helping me, do Spanish stuff. And then in my coachee setting, I'm helping her manage stress levels. That's her objective, her main objective. And then her goal is to comply with some of these tasks that I've come up with. It's essentially using a Gantt chart. I'm passing on my assignment tracker to her so she can use it, and then kind of giving her some tips and tricks on how to use a calendar. So yeah, and then that's kind of what I had to do in this assignment. I set it up for her. We had a meeting that night, and yeah, this is one of the other settings where I get to practice my Spanish a lot. I have to practice it a lot because I have to do everything in Spanish. My class is in Spanish. So listening is not the issue. Hearing and understanding things, like I get a lot of it. If I miss a word, then I'll just quickly Google Translate it. But for the most part, it's understanding it is pretty easy. It's the speaking and the responding and all of those things and knowing what to say when. So how to form sentences and stuff. So it's the same thing. And that goes into the essay. The essay was such a hard experience for me. The article was called Ontología de Lenguaje, which is ontology of language. And what I did was I had an article and I had to read the entire thing. I had it read to me in Spanish. I mean, in English. I had it Google Translate, and I typically do that with just normal articles anyway because I have a hard time reading things as it is online and stuff. So I have each paragraph read to me, and then as it was read to me, I was highlighting key points, and then once I did that, then I had it read to me again in Spanish. So now I already had an understanding of what it was saying, and then I just got to basically hear it all and practice reading it and understanding it in Spanish. Then what I did with that was I took every single one of those points and put them in my Google, in my document and stuff, and so those were my notes. Then I went in and translated every one of those points, which were in Spanish, to English. And then, so I had them side by side. And then I went in and basically made just thought notes, just running thoughts of what I would say in response to these points. And then what I did from there was I put it in a paragraph and I formed it, I started to format it. And I also gave this to Owen, and he helped me so much with the just understanding the philosophy stuff and trying to express my idea. He also helped me with the formatting and stuff, and Owen's a professor, so he's a G. But then after that, I then had all of my paragraphs in English, and then I went ahead and translated them, but I went through them one by one, sentence by sentence. And this is something I was talking to my my roommate about, is I know it could have been easier, and I think a lot of the things, the case analysis and the essay, the way that I did these things could have been super fast, super easy, just flushed them out, got them out. But I'm really trying to develop a skill here in how to do these things effectively, quickly, and efficient, I want them to look good. I want them to make as much sense as possible in Spanish, and I want to be also learning, as I'm doing this, I'm having to really pay attention sentence by sentence to what I'm saying. And so, no, it's not perfect, and no, I'm sure there's a lot of room to grow, but yeah, essentially that's what it was. And so I was super stressed out because I was preparing for Capacites, and I felt like in all of this I couldn't really prepare, but it all worked out. I got there today and it was amazing. It was the best experience I, could have hoped for. I got there about 9 a.m. this morning. My friend and, compañeros, the OU and the Capacits and Upayap, the same people who had picked me up at the airport, they took me today, and so I got to, have that first route, with them to figure out how things were going to work. I got to meet Dr. Papakui again, and she introduced me to Angelis, who is one of the social workers there, and so I'm just going to be shadowing her in the mornings, and I'm so excited. Essentially what they do is a lot of intake stuff, a lot of intake paperwork, and just helping patients, navigate their economic status and things like that, and get them connected to the resources that they need there. So I'm super excited about it. I am really planning on using this first month to establish a good routine for myself and a good connection with the language, and be able to someday get to that point of giving these intake forms, by myself, so like completely in Spanish. And then, within the next month and the third month, I'm hoping to do a lot more organization and macro work, and yeah. But that's been, these past couple of weeks. I plan to do another video that's a little bit more personal and fun. I still want to do my candy video, so if you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. I love my fans. Thanks. I actually met up with Alexis. He met up with me here at my residencia, and he went with me in this first trip over there, which was really nice. He was the same person that had also picked me up from the airport. Him and Armando and Carrie, they all worked together to organize this with Dr. Papakui and my Capacits. So then I got there about 8, and I got there about 9 actually, and then from 9 to 10 I started shadowing. Her name was Angelis, and she was amazing. She is essentially their social worker there, and they do a lot of intake paperwork. They're doing a lot of just getting patients information and assessing their economic status and stuff like that. So we met with patients back to back. And it was good. It was so good. I am so excited to learn Spanish in this setting, because it is a lot of intake stuff, but that is essentially like what I can start mastering, and really like getting those conversations to be able to do that micro setting stuff. And I'm hoping within the next month, once I've really mastered that and I'm starting to be able to do those on my own, then in the next month I can focus more on, organization and macro stuff and research stuff and anything that can really help them. So yeah, I think that is essentially like the rundown. That's my homework. That's everything that's happened in the 2 weeks. I can probably go into a little bit more of a fun, like, personal video later, and this one's kind of long, so if you stuck through it, thanks. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Bye.
This is my outro.
Thanks for watching.
Bye. This is Brinley. Nice to meet you.
La güera.
Peace out.